we started talking last time a little bit about our town and what the information is at the beginning, what it means, why is it there, what would be the difference if this was in Texas instead of New Hampshire, or what would be the difference if the presentation were representational and there was no God figure leading us through the story.
Right.
What would be the difference between that and then what is actually there and so forth. The function of our town is to teach you that life should be lived for its unique value, that once it's gone, can't be gotten back. And the daily recognition of that changes people's experience of living to a much more richer experience of living. So that play is in function to tell us that message. And as we started talking, the play has elements, and let's go over what those are. What are the elements of a play?
Plot. Would plot be one of the elements?
Yeah, but plot is the result of basic elements functioning. So what are the elements that, in other words, we want to find out that message at the end, talking about what our town means. We want them to get that message.
Right.
Now, the author could do this. He'd have a very short play. He'd come out and say, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, life is much better if you live it every day and not just get involved with the minutia of every day and take that message and be happy.
Not as quite the same kind of experience, is it?
Yeah, what's the difference?
Because that's speaking to the conscious.
Yes.
It's not speaking to the subconscious.
That's speaking to the rational mind.
Right.
That's what a lecture is.
Right. Yeah.
Let me tell your rational mind these truths about the South Sea Islands where I just came back from. Or what...
things to ponder about how you should live your life.
Yeah. And of course, behavior in human beings does not come from the intellect. It comes from the psyche. The often unconscious or subconscious, at any rate, elements of the psyche.
Do you see a difference between subconscious and unconscious, or do you read them as the same word?
I use them as the same. I use them interchangeably, but actually the unconscious is a term that is Freudian, and it means that part of the psyche in which these primal, destructive, potentially violent urges reside that we have to keep a hold over, or else they erupt and make us an antisocial person and so forth.
Right.
Definition. So if you hear me sometimes change it, it's because my use of subconscious and unconscious is not related to the Freudian concept. When I use it, I just mean things
in general
that you are not aware of,
right,
that your mind nonetheless does.
Right.
What I really mean when I use those terms is that it's not within the consciousness.
Not yet.
It's not something that somebody's aware of at the moment.
And that's why some people, in a lecture, people generally get what the message of the lecture is.
Right.
But a lot of times people go to plays and miss it. They may get the plot, but they don't really get a lot of times they won't get the message.
Well, that's because the people doing the play didn't put them through the experience. If you put them through the experience, they know what it is. They may not be able to articulate.
Yeah, like a lot of people going to see Virginia Woolf. I think the majority of people walking out of Virginia Woolf would not say, "Oh, well, it was the mendacity of their relationship that they had to, undo to save the relationship." You know what I mean? They just they'd come out of that going, "Oh, well, they were really at each other, weren't they? Jeez, what?"
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But if you were to ask them the proper questions, you would lead them to a recognition of what they had experienced. What you want an audience to do is experience what the play is about on that level, not on a rational level, but on an emotional, psyche, sensory, whatever the appeal of the moment is, level. In Some Like It Hot, the movie, where Marilyn Monroe stands over the subway, train comes by and it blows her dress up so that you see her legs and she holds it down in front. You don't have to think what's happening to the married man who has met her while his wife is away with the kids on in Newport Beach or wherever they are for vacation.
7-year itch, I think.
7 year. What did I say?
Something like it hot.
Oh no, I meant 7 year.
7-year itch.
Where that's going on. You know what he's feeling. You know the things that he is experiencing when he watches her. That's the all level an audience is supposed to meet up with the play on. They're supposed to experience the elements, and later their capacity to analyze it doesn't mean that if they cannot analyze it, they haven't had the experience. They have had the experience, but their analytical abilities are not high.
Like their psyche would experience the journey that George and Martha take together and the arc that is it with,
right.
So
and
that by
they
the
would
time she
also
climbs that staircase,
experience the different behavior of George and Martha once this exorcism, which is what the third act is called, has taken place. Because after they go, Honey and Nick go, and they're left there alone, and they're only there in a moment of truth, the first truth that they've had, naked, unvarnished truth that they have shared in 20 some odd years in the play. It's 20 years in the movie. I think he said he was 16 or something. But in the play, I believe it's 21 years. And the author, of course, picks 21 because he's coming home for his birthday, his 21st birthday. 21 makes him a man, etc., etc. He's legal now or whatever else, instead of making him 19 or 23 or something else. So the authors even picked that as a special, recognizing that it's a special thing.
Yeah, our child has grown up. Our child is an adult.
Right.
So you were talking about what are the elements of the play.
The director is the authority on the play. He is the person who must recognize and know the play and its total effects, its total potential effects on an audience, even better than the author. Because as we've talked before, many of the authors write intuitively, and it just feels right to them and so forth. Mm-hmm. And the characters start talking. And when the characters start talking, they let them talk. We talked earlier on that the director is not a creative position. It's an administrative position. It's an analytical position first, and then an administrative position to make sure that all of the things that the person has properly analyzed are in the play get transferred to the audience through the presentation of that play. And in a play, there's only one way to do that, because we don't have an author coming out and saying, look, life is great and you have to live it every day, etc. But he puts you through things at the end of which you should have experienced that. The sadness of the play when the girl has now died, which starts Act 3, is not just, oh, it's sad she died. It has to be, oh, it's sad she died before she ever really lived. And all of the older people also died before they really ever lived. Then it's too late to have the experience. So live it now. Have it now. He has to tell that. He's not going to tell it to you like a lecture. He has to use things that you experience that do that. Now that is what the elements of a play do. The elements of the play include title, the setting, the characters and their names and their ages and their backgrounds. If Richard III was a peasant, there couldn't be a play called Richard III. He has to be in the lineage to the kingdom, because he can't have this fury at having been mistreated by everyone because of his physicality that he has, if he has no expectation that he should be treated any better. And the peasants of the time had no expectation that they should be treated any better. So his character is an element that leads you to the fulfilling of that play, which drives the play. He is a prince. He's not a peasant. And as a prince, he should have princely respect. He shouldn't be the only one left out of all of the celebration of the end of the war. But he is. And it's not celebration like, let's have fireworks now and get to see the fireworks. It's actual human celebration. To the victors go the spoils. That means the victors now eat better than they did before. The men have whatever women they want. All of their appetites now are fulfilled. He's the only one who can't fulfill any of his appetites
Because of his appearance.
because the way that people have treated him, because of his appearance.
So it's the quintessential chip on your shoulder.
Yeah. So therefore, to get to what that play is going to be about, we have to see that he's a prince. That is an element of the play that if that element were missing, we couldn't have the play. Now, by the way, is there anything that has happened in recent memory that people in a society, had they taken the lesson of Richard III, the society would have avoided a horrible incident?
Meaning a leader that was sort of shunned because of appearance?
No. Societies, I may not have asked that very clearly. Society has recently undergone a horrific experience. If society knew what the lesson is in Richard III, society would not have undergone that.
And the lesson being in Richard III being, I'm not sure we got to the lesson.
Well,
What was the lesson?
I'm not going to tell you.
We did discuss his particular psyche in that he feels like he's left out. So
He is left out.
So now he's going to get back at the world.
The author puts him outside when everybody else is inside
So
carousing.
now he's going to fix all of their wagons and he's going to
Yes.
get back to the world, get back
Since
at everyone.
I am not built by nature to enjoy the pleasures of the idle pleasures of these days, therefore I am determined to be a villain.
And spoil it for everyone else.
Right.
No, I'm not sure what's recent of that.
The guy goes into the opening of a movie
Not recent.
and shoots up the place and kills people.
Yeah,
Who is a loner, who has no friends.
right.
It's exactly the same thing that's happening.
And I was listening to one of these profilers talk about the common issue, the psyche of people that do that, and they found that it's just me against the world mentality.
Right.
Human being, they
Yes.
cannot see individuals as individuals.
It's Richard III.
It's everybody has ruined my life,
And boy,
and are they going to pay?
and they think I can't do anything about it.
Right.
We'll fucking see come premiere night of the Dark Knight Rises.
We'll see who's got the power then behind my automatic weapons.
Yeah. If society knew the lesson for society in Richard III, it would go out to all of these kinds of loners and include them instead of making them all the more alone.
Isolated, alienated.
Guys who shot up the three guys who shot up the high school Columbine several years ago.
Yeah.
Same story.
Right. All loners.
They're
Outcasts.
except for their three.
Yeah.
The three of them were together.
Right.
But other than that, they were loners, they were shunted, they were not with it, they weren't the cool kids, and blah, blah, blah. And then let's see what cool kids are, they say. Let's see when the cool kids are laying on the floor and shitting their pants because I just shot them.
Right. Yeah.
But in other words, so see,
Yeah.
there's a direct application of what a play is supposed to tell you. And that play can't tell you that unless Richard III feels that he is cut out of something that he has a right to be in. And the way these kids feel, I have a right to be in society, I have a right to have girlfriends, I have a right to people asking me my opinions about it. I'm not something that needs to be left out and not appreciated and get no attention. I have a right to these things. All right. So the elements of the play function in a way that the play can happen.
Can we review the elements again? Title.
Well, we didn't go through all of them.
Okay.
Title,
Character.
setting. Setting meaning not just place, New Hampshire, but a time in history.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a time of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the time of the month.
Right.
Sometimes the season of the year.
Right.
If somebody says it is autumn, that's important to the play. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is going to be in the summer. It's not in the winter because you don't have a cat on a hot tin roof in the winter, even in Mississippi. In Mississippi, in the winter, you have a cat on a cool, damp roof. Would be a different play.
So, title, setting, characters, character names,
Right? And then
their
events.
ages,
Right.
various details,
Their sex,
their histories,
and their sexuality,
and then what did you say?
and then all of the events.
The events.
The events are only elements that putting all of these people through in this setting at this time cause you to recognize through these events of the plot. Events are just the elements of the plot. It causes you to realize once you put them through these series of events, the thing that the author is after.
Right. So not only the things that unfold in the play itself, but the things that have unfolded in their lives
Prior to that.
Prior to that.
Exactly. Because let me go way out on a limb as an example. Totally wrong for the play. What's the young girl lead? I forgot.
Emily?
Emily.
Yeah.
Has Emily ever had a lesbian fantasy?
That's an interesting question. I think she could.
She could or she couldn't.
Right. Yeah.
But the elements of a play, by the way, Suzanne Langer tells us, everything in the play has to be there.
Mm.
And if anything is removed, the play is changed.
Right.
So, since that's not in there,
it's not significant.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it were in there, then it would be significantly connected to the message. Even a small thing.
Now, there have been some thoughts that Simon Stimson might be gay. That might be why he's struggling in his small town. His small town existence. Because there's all that talk about him being like, some people just don't adapt to small town life.
Right. What else?
He's a drinker.
And when somebody's a drinker, what's the problem? Why are they drinking?
Well, they're trying to drown some kind
It's self-medication.
Yeah.
What alcohol does in the system is alleviate anxiety. And that's how self-medication functions.
So it's to take away some type of pain, some type of anxiety,
Right.
some type of...
Now, what do you think about this?
I think that makes sense.
No, I mean, what do you think? Is he...
I think he is. I think it makes sense. I think he could be...
There's even a line where somebody says at some point, well, you know how those musical folks are.
Yeah.
And in the end, he's the only one who really is bitter.
Even
as a
still.
dead man.
Even still, yeah.
Because he has never expressed who he is. That's not only a possibility. That is the reality that character has been drawn to. That man is homosexual in a little town at 1900 who marries somebody because everybody's supposed to marry somebody, but he never is who he is. And the anxiety of trying to live that life, not if he goes and blows somebody, will he get found out. It's not just, like, I got caught with my hand in a cookie jar. That's not the level of anxiety. It's a much more full level anxiety, which is I can't be who I am. So I'm always lying to everybody.
Even to himself.
And even to myself. Right?
Yeah.
And so the author draws him. It's an element of the play, his characterization. The author draws him, the way he speaks to the people in the choir when they're practicing. Yeah. Now, come on, people. People are supposed to enjoy this after all.
Yeah.
It's not a cliched approach to homosexuality that the author does that by. It's an observed reaction that you see in homosexuals. This kind of expression, and what do they call it? Acerbic expression. Sharp, sarcastic.
Yeah.
You're supposed to sing the notes on the page, people. That tone, gay people, gay men, often have been seen to use. So when that tone is in the play, it's not an accident. You have to know that. That's an element of what goes on. Now, if you use him only as a microcosm for the whole thing, you should live your life fully and genuinely knowing who you are every day of it and not be involved in all the minor skirmishes and ego problems and everything else for you really to live your life. There is the most egregious example in the whole play of who doesn't do what the author wants people to do. And therefore, he's the most
Miserable.
egregiously
Commits
miserable.
suicide.
Yeah.
Takes his own life.
Right. So that's not local color. Now, the play's not about him. But if he is presented in the way that he should be, the audience knows his problem. They experience his problem. And when he is dead and still bitter, they get it. They get it's because he hasn't ever been able to live himself at all. They will get that on a feeling level. By the way, if that's done well, the next time they say, I don't like the word homophobic because it implies fear. And a lot of people don't have any fear of homosexuality at all. They have a lot of disdain for it. But if you experience his sad story, his pathetic story, you should feel pathos for him. And that doesn't mean that if you're involved in the world, that you wait for somebody named Simon Stimson to come by to feel sorry for, or to have empathy with. It means when you see a friend of yours in a group who can't stop being bitchy because he's homosexual, you won't think that guy's just a little faggot bitch. You'll think, Christ, what he must have to go through to get through life to make him that way. So, every single thing of every person in that story is picked by the author. And the director obviously has to know these things because each person fits into this piece of the puzzle. It's a little bit like if you have a jigsaw puzzle, it is usually not just white or black. It's a windmill, it's Niagara Falls. So that as you're putting it together, even similar pieces, you're shown they don't fit there because that's the cow's ear. And the cow's way over here. In other words, there are things which show you how to put that piece together. And every piece, even if you found two pieces which are exactly the same shape, one will have the cow's ear on it, the other one will have part of the sky on it. So then you know they don't go interchangeably in the other places. Now, when the director is the authority of the play, it is what the real value of authority means. Not I get to tell everybody things, or I'm the most powerful. The real value of authority is that this person knows everything to know about the play. He knows what every element of the play is. He knows what every character is like. He knows why they're that instead of something else. He knows why the title is Our Town instead of The Town or A Small Town or A Little City, because any of those titles give a different impression than Our Town does. So every single thing in it, when the director is the authority, it means he knows, and he knows its function. You're building an experience for the audience, given that I want them to know whatever the play is about. I like this about humanity. I want people to experience it. So the authority of the director is not that he gets to tell people, as I said before, what to do. His authority is, I know everything that is to be known about this play. I know why she's called Emily instead of Beatrice. I know why she is whatever age instead of 2 years younger or 2 years older. And in dealing with the Suzanne Langer premise, which is in a play, everything has been chosen already, so that everything there is significant, and nothing is there that's not significant. We don't know if Emily had a lesbian experience or not. She could have, she couldn't have. It's not significant. It has nothing to do with that. And that deals with all plays are structured in relation to what must happen, not what can happen.